Welcome back to Movie Recaps. Today I will show you a drama, horror, mystery film from 2015, titled My Girlfriend is a Serial Killer. Spoilers ahead. Watch out and take care. Etsuro Kurosu is a young man going through serious depression. He doesn't work or study and his parents have cut him off, so his apartment doesn't have power, water, or internet, and it's full of trash as well. One evening, he can't take it anymore and decides to kill himself by putting a belt around his neck and hanging it on a shelf. His body's survival instincts kick in and begin struggling against the belt, which causes the shelf to come off the wall and fall on top of him. While Kurosu lays on the floor in pain, he suddenly notices a beam of light entering the room and makes a very important discovery: the falling shelf has left a hole in the wall. When Kurosu looks through it into the apartment next door, he's shocked to find his neighbor is a beautiful young woman, Ryo Miyachi. From then on, Kurosu spies on her every day. He notices Miyachi is a college student, but nobody visits her, so she mustn't have any friends. One afternoon, when she suddenly disappears out of sight, Kurosu leaves his apartment and goes to her door to try to listen to any sounds and even peek through the mail slot, only to step back when he notices a visitor can see what he's doing. This person, Haruko Kawasaki, has come to check on her brother, who lives on the floor under Kurosu's. After knocking a couple of times and getting no answer, she hangs the bag of food she's brought him on the doorknob and leaves, so Kurosu takes the chance to steal it and finally eat some real food after having been surviving on cheap snacks for a while. Once again, his creepy activities are interrupted, this time by Miyachi herself. They introduce themselves with only their surnames, then Miyachi invites him to eat with her at her apartment because food tastes better when you have company. They share a lovely dinner together and Kurosu returns to his place in a great mood thanks to Miyachi telling him they should do it again sometime. He starts going over often for meals while still spying on her, and one day, he makes up his mind and asks her why she wants to hang out with a neet like him, to which she replies that them connecting so well is the only thing that matters to her. These words truly touch Kurosu, so when he returns to his apartment later, he covers the hole with a piece of paper. He's quick to take it back, however, when he hears her door open in the middle of the stormy night. Miyachi is wearing a transparent raincoat and has a box cutter in her hands, but most importantly, there is a man in the room with her. This man hugs Miyachi from behind and she immediately reacts by pulling a series of martial art-like moves that allow her to overpower the man and kills him, which makes her smile. A shocked Kurosu doesn't have much time to process what has happened, because the books on Miyachi's shelf fall and cover the peephole. While he tries to decide if what he saw was real or not, a mysterious van full of people parks in front of their building and someone knocks at his door. It's Miyachi, looking normal and cheerful, asking with a pot of food in her hands if they can have dinner together in his place this time. After moving some trash away and lighting up some candles, they share dinner and Miyachi tells him hanging out with him helps her figure out if she's normal or not. Later, after she goes back to her apartment, Kurosu uses a chopstick to push the book from the hole and sees the room is pristine, which makes him think the murder he saw was a hallucination after all. But at that moment, a mysterious voice tells Miyachi goodbye, so Kurosu rushes to his door to see who it is. Reina and Meiji, a serious-looking woman, is walking away from their apartments, only stopping to tell Kurosu she can see him, even calling him by his name. The following morning, Kurosu bumps into Miyachi, who tells him they can eat at his place again today. This inspires Kurosu to finally clean his apartment while trying to convince himself that what he saw wasn't real, yet he can't stop thinking about it. Later in the evening, while waiting for her to come over, he hears a noise next door and spies through the peephole to see it's happening again. Miyachi is killing a guy with a bee tattoo on his arm, smiling when she's done. Finally admitting this is real, Kurosu screams in fear, making Miyachi discover the hole and stick her cutter in it before she looks at him in return. Getting even more scared now, Kurosu runs away from the apartment, and Miyachi chases him through town with her cutter in hand. When Kurosu takes the fire escape to reach the roof of a building, Miyachi corners him there and makes him confess that he's known she's a killer for a while. She finds this very interesting because even if he knew, he still kept eating together with her. Kurosu admits he's tried to kill himself in the past, but then he discovered the peephole and fell in love with her, which is much better than dying. He falls to his knees, ready for Miyachi to kill him, and she does grab him and puts her cutter on his neck, but she doesn't kill him yet. Once again, she considers his reaction very interesting. When she asks him how he feels right now, he says he wants to date her, which Miyachi accepts before licking the blood off a bruise on his lip he got while running away. Kurosu sees this as encouragement to kiss her, but when he tries, Miyachi tells him they can't kiss yet or she'll have to kill him. She does, however, ask him to keep spying on her. The next day, Kurosu sees Haruko has finally gotten to see her brother, Kawasaki, who is currently playing with a cat. Afterward, he has lunch at his place with Miyachi, who is amazed at how much he can see through the hole. After admitting that he likes everything about her, he promises to get a job to be a better boyfriend for her. Kurosu ends up working at a convenience store, and every time he has to use a cutter to open one of the boxes, he can't help thinking of Miyachi's murders. This doesn't stop him from still dating her though. Miyachi asks him out on a date the next day, which turns out to be an excuse to make Kurosu carry her microwave to the university because the one at her lab broke down. At first, he doesn't feel comfortable being surrounded by successful people, but soon his mood improves when Miyachi introduces him as her boyfriend in front of her admirers. While having lunch together, Kurosu tells her he may retake the entrance exam next year to become a suitable man for her because he can't imagine a future without her. Miyachi, however, is amused at the idea that he needs to be suitable for a murderer who isn't planning to stop killing anytime soon. After class, Miyachi asks Kurosu to go on a walk with her, only to shock him when she suddenly puts on her transparent raincoat before grabbing a woman in the middle of the street and killing her. From then on, Miyachi starts going out on dates with Kurosu and killing people in the middle of them, which is some sort of twisted sign of affection. Kurosu wonders if she kills randomly, but she confesses she has some personal rules, which includes a list of local criminals. This makes Kurosu wonder if he could consider her an ally of justice, but that still doesn't sound right. The most shocking thing regarding this whole deal is that not a single one of her murders has appeared on the news. One afternoon, after chatting with his neighbor Kawasaki about how cute cats are, Kurosu meets with Miyachi at the park and shares some Papiko with her. Papiko is an ice block made of chocolate and coffee that comes in pairs precisely to be shared, so Miyachi is touched by the gesture. Kurosu has bought something specifically to share with her. Kurosu's life starts to improve thanks to his new job. His apartment finally has power again and he can buy a new phone. One day, while working the cash register at the store, Haruko comes over to buy some snacks, and Kurosu gives them to her for free because he's feeling guilty over the food bag he stole the other day. In the evening, when he gets home, he finds a message on the peephole telling him to wait in his apartment at 10 p.m. When the time comes, Kurosu looks through the peephole again and discovers Miyachi has kidnapped Kawasaki. He tries to ask her not to kill him, but Miyachi just tells him to keep quiet not to be caught and proceeds to kill their neighbor. Right after she's done, Reina and her team arrive in their black van and clean the entire crime scene, which explains why nobody has found out about all the murders yet. Kurosu goes to Miyachi's apartment and demands some answers. Reina explains that Miyachi is a great killer because she does it quickly with a clean cut, and there are many people out there in need of fresh bodies. This still doesn't explain why Miyachi would kill Kawasaki of all people, so Reina takes him to his apartment and shows him the truth. All this time, Kawasaki has been torturing the stray cats he befriended. Reina doesn't understand why he looks so shocked since she believes this is also his future because Miyachi doesn't know how else to interact with people. The following morning, Miyachi knocks on his door, but he ignores her, so she enters his apartment by jumping from her balcony to his. Kurosu tells her he isn't feeling well and stays in bed, so she gets in there with him to warm him up. When he explains murder is wrong and there should be certain lawfulness, Miyachi wonders who gets to choose who dies and who lives and points out a country's laws change all the time, so real lawfulness doesn't exist. Kurosu finally admits he just didn't want to see it, so an upset Miyachi leaves the room while Kurosu thinks that despite everything, he still likes her. Sometime later, Kurosu bumps into Haruko, who wants to know if he's heard from her brother, because he hasn't called or visited in a while. While Kurosu tries to come up with some excuse, Haruko is startled by the sudden apparition of a jealous Miyachi, who wants to know who is this person talking to her boyfriend. When Haruko explains she's Kawasaki's sister, Miyachi invites her to wait for him at her apartment, but Kurosu freaks out and sends her away, promising to let her know if he hears from Kawasaki. Later, when he's having dinner with Miyachi, he can't stop worrying about Haruko coming back and finding out the truth. Miyachi tells him it's fine because Kawasaki has disappeared without a trace, and because of her personal rules, she promises not to kill Haruko. Some days later, Haruko texts Kurosu, asking him if they can meet to talk about her brother. While wondering if accepting or not, Kurosu is suddenly grabbed and dragged into a black van where Reina is waiting for him. She tells him to become a suitable man for Miyachi or she will take care of him, because as a person he's useless but he'd make a great dead body. A few hours later, Kurosu meets with Haruko for tea. She is in desperate need to know what happened to her brother, so she asks Kurosu to come with her to see the landlord because she's scared to go by herself. Kurosu doesn't want to accept but he doesn't want to arouse suspicion, so together they ask the landlord to open Kawasaki's apartment. It turns out Kurosu doesn't have anything to worry about because Reina's team has cleaned it all and got rid of all the tools he used with the cats, leaving a perfectly normal room behind and even the copy of an online airplane ticket reservation to make it look like he is away on a trip. Now that she can stop worrying about her brother, Haruko goes for a walk with Kurosu and thanks him for his help. When he tells her she can call him anytime she needs something though, she says she won't because it would piss Miyachi off. Kurosu admits that while they are dating, he doesn't know Miyachi that well, and she can be kinda twisted. He thinks he's way over his head. On his way back home, he sees a guy with the same bee tattoo the other victim had putting an arm around Miyachi, yet she doesn't push him away. When they meet for dinner, he tells her he's seen her with that dude and demands an explanation, but Miyachi accuses him of doing the same with Haruko. Kurosu denies this and tells her he only hung out with Haruko to protect Miyachi, then proceeds to hug her, only to get threatened again when he tries to kiss her. Later that night, Haruko goes to the bar the bee gang uses as their headquarters and informs them she is turning down their offer of working for them as their personal killer. They don't take this news very well, and the leader reminds her they know she was the one that killed one of their gang members and threatens to kill Kurosu if she doesn't change her mind. The next day, Miyachi waits for Kurosu to finish working and walks him home, since she's worried about his safety. When they arrive at their building, they find Haruko waiting for them and they invite her in for tea. It turns out she's received a postcard Kawasaki has sent from Thailand, another trick from Reina. Suddenly, she passes out and Miyachi shows up wearing her transparent raincoat. It was her that put something in Haruko's tea to make her sleep. She intends to kill Haruko, but Kurosu stops her, telling her this is getting out of control. Miyachi reminds him that she makes her own rules and that she could kill him instead, but Kurosu tells her she wouldn't be able to. Miyachi disagrees but still leaves. A few hours later, when Haruko wakes up, she confesses she likes Kurosu and wonders if she isn't good enough for him, but the moment they share is suddenly interrupted by Reina and her team. They came to the apartment thinking they would have to pick up a dead Haruko, who is now leaving in a hurry. This is the first time Miyachi doesn't kill someone Reina is after, so she asks Kurosu not to confuse her because she will never connect with him anyway. Some days later, Miyachi meets with Reina and apologizes for wasting her time with Haruko. She also shares a papiko with her. Reina tells her that who lives and who dies is up to Miyachi, but if she starts to waver, the corpses become unclean and she won't be able to collect them anymore. Meanwhile, Kurosu is meeting with Haruko again at a cafe, where she tells him her feeling for him are real. Kurosu can't accept this and explains to her he's only been trying to help her with her brother, nothing else. Haruko, however, expresses her confusion, since she remembers how Kurosu said Miyachi doesn't suit him at all. She thinks Miyachi is just dragging him around and won't change for him, so before leaving, Haruko tells him she'll wait for him at this cafe tomorrow as well, so he should think about possibly giving her a chance until then. On his way home, a black van stops next to him and Kurosu thinks it is Reina, but it's actually the B gang. They kidnap him and take him to their bar, where they ask him to convince Miyachi to kill for them. Kurosu refuses, so they threaten him with going to the police before cutting his cheek and letting him go. When he arrives at his place, Miyachi sees the injury and tries to go after the gang, but Kurosu stops her, explaining to her he'd rather die by their hands than see her kill again. Miyachi reminds him that she's a murderer and that will never change because she doesn't feel like herself if she doesn't kill, but Kurosu points out she didn't kill Haruko, so she could change if she wanted to. He tells her how much he likes her, but Miyachi doesn't think he understands her and can't accept her for who she is. She doesn't see a happy future for them, so she leaves in tears after asking him to cover the peephole. A few hours later, Kurosu is working at the convenience store when he's approached by Reina, who is purchasing some papiko. She tells him Miyachi has asked her for a big cleanup soon, but Kurosu still can't accept all the killing. Reina, however, points out they have quite a strong connection nobody can break. Later at night, Kurosu hears some noises coming from Miyachi's apartment, so he decides to check on her through the peephole. He sees her killing one more person, but this time, instead of smiling when she's done, she's crying. This makes him think she didn't kill someone she wanted to kill but a person the B gang asked for. At that moment, he has a big realization, so as he runs out of the apartment, he calls Haruko and tells her he won't be able to make it. Miyachi may not change and may not need him, but he now knows he needs her. Kurosu makes it to the B gang's bar and asks them to make Miyachi stop killing, but they ignore him, so he tries to attack them with a cutter of his own. Obviously, he isn't an opponent for a whole group of gangsters, so they easily dodge his attacks before throwing him on the floor to beat him up. The leader even comes closer and grabs his hand with the cutter, intending to cut his neck the same way Miyachi does, but suddenly the power goes off and a kind of sleeping gas is released around them. As all the gangsters fall to the floor, Kurosu sees Miyachi arrive wearing her transparent raincoat. She's surprised to find him there, and when she notices his injuries, she gets even angrier than she already was and grabs his cutter, which she uses together with hers to kill all the gangsters. The men try to defend themselves, but she expertly fights them off and easily murders them one by one. The leader is last and he does manage to make her drop the cutters, but she doesn't give up and with a smooth movement, she kills him with his own katana before adding another cut with her own cutter. Afterward, she helps a weak Kurosu to get on the couch and explains the person she had killed a few hours ago has also been a B gang member. The only reason why she didn't smile this time is that it hadn't been fun for some reason, but this doesn't mean she'll stop killing. Kurosu reminds her that he likes everything about her, and after Miyachi tells him she likes him too, the couple finally kisses, only for Miyachi to stab him on the stomach right after. She smiles because she's always wanted to kill someone she liked and now she understands it doesn't feel the same at all, which makes Kurosu glad. As he falls to the floor, he hears Miyachi tell him she loves him, and he returns the words before passing out. Many days later, Reina finds Miyachi with a suitcase and Kurosu following her while on crutches. She asks if his room should be cleaned by her team and they agree, so Reina leaves to work on that before telling Kurosu that just because they're going to live together it doesn't mean he should stop spying on her. As they walk away, Miyachi tells him she won't kill anymore but one day she kill him, which Kurosu gladly accepts because his artery belongs to her. Suddenly, Miyachi realizes they never learned each other's first names, so they introduce each other properly as they shake hands. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you can watch more videos like this. Thanks for watching.